Hey there everybody, Travis Bowman here. I'm a fingerstyle guitar player and retro video game nerd. Let's check out some alternative Pro controllers for your new Nintendo Switch 2 console. Now first things first, why would we want a third-party alternative instead of the actual Nintendo Switch 2 Pro controller? There's a lot of reasons why. Number one is the price. This controller is $90 freaking dollars, which is insane for a controller. In addition to that, the Pro controller from Nintendo does not feature any advanced stick technology such as Hall effect or TMR sticks, so stick drift will inevitably happen on those sticks from your Nintendo branded Pro controllers. So I'm going to show you three controllers that all feature Hall effect joysticks, so you never have to worry about that stick drift. So if you choose not to get a Pro controller at all, this is what you're left with on the Nintendo Switch 2 right here. You can take your Joy-Cons and magnetically slide them into this base right here. A lot of people will just stick with this for a while, and I'll tell you, it's not terrible, but it is a little uncomfortable after a while. Having these little prongs stick out as you're holding this controller is just not the most comfortable thing in the world, and I don't know if you're like me. The Joy-Cons never did it for me. Even the bigger ones, the new ones for the Nintendo Switch 2, they're just not very comfortable at all. They kind of dig into your hands on the side there, and it's not a great experience if you just want to sit on the couch with an actual controller in your hand instead of playing in handheld mode. So the first controller that I'd like to take a look at today is the Nixie Master P1. This controller right here is a really comfortable controller. It's not that different design-wise from the actual Pro controller offered by Nintendo. Now, this was meant to be played with the original Switch as well as your PC. It took me a while to realize this, but regular Switch 1 controllers perform just fine and really don't offer any other functions on the Switch 2. So this is a great alternative right off the bat because you do have these Hall effect joysticks inside of this controller right here. So let's go ahead and turn this sucker on by pressing this button right here, and it will pair to our Nintendo Switch 2. There it goes. So right off the bat, the thing that I love about this controller is that it pairs pretty freaking seamlessly. You've got a switch back here that has three separate positions, one for Bluetooth, one for the included USB dongle that is 2.4 gigahertz, as well as a Nintendo Switch dedicated mode back there. And you can see that it says NS for Nintendo Switch, and that's what I have it connected to. So as far as this controller is concerned, we're connected to a Nintendo Switch. It doesn't matter which Switch we're connected to. It just knows that we're connected to the Switch here. So I'm just going to play just a little bit. I'll pick Mario. Now, what I love about this controller in particular is just how normal it is. This is definitely just a normal feeling controller. You've got some nice rubberized grips down here, which feel really nice. And I'm going to go ahead and serve the ball there. There's a drop shot, which requires you to press the A button and then slide it over into that B button there. That's a really seamless thing to do with this particular game, and it all depends on the controller that you have. And I'm going to go ahead and do a lob shot. It's exactly the opposite of that. And boom. That's amazing. Another plus about this controller in particular is that you've got the D-pad right there that looks and acts like a normal D-pad. I mean, it's not the Nintendo buttons that we're so used to on the Joy-Cons. You actually have a D-pad, which is such an amazing thing for a controller, man. And I'll be really happy to say that all three controllers that are going to be featured in this video have some sort of a proper D-pad, not just those particular buttons that you find on the Switch Joy-Cons there. So this is definitely not a bad replacement for your Switch 2 Pro controller. It feels a lot like what you would expect a Pro controller to feel like. The buttons all feel great, the sticks feel great, the D-pad is actually pretty darn decent, the triggers and the bumpers feel great as well, and you've got the home button up there, so I can press that and go back home really seamlessly. This is my second favorite, if not my favorite, go-to controller for playing games on the couch when I'm wanting to play the Switch 2. It's a really, really nice controller, and it's built exceptionally well. However, there is one flaw that I have to mention that I found out recently. If for whatever reason, if you want to get inside of this controller, it is a total pain in the ass to do so. You've got two screws on the back right there, and that's just not enough. So you've got hidden screws underneath these grips, and you have to get a tool like a screwdriver and physically pry that open. I tried that because one of my other controllers, I've got two of them that are exactly like this from Nixie here. My other one, I guess my buddy dropped it while we were having that Mario Tennis night that we usually do. And for whatever reason, it's just not responding. And I believe, after doing some research, that the battery connector, which is back here inside of the controller, it must have lost connection. The wire must have come loose or something like that. But getting inside of the controller is not the easiest thing in the world. So this is a really nice controller, and I don't want to dog it by saying that mine is broken and you shouldn't buy it for that reason. It was kind of a freak thing. It gets kind of rowdy here at my house when we're doing Mario Tennis. The controller was dropped. I didn't do it myself. Up until that point, the controller was working just fine. And I mean, I've had that controller for at least a year now, and nothing bad to say about it whatsoever. And the theme with this video is also that every single one of these controllers are going to be pairing with your Switch 2 pretty gosh darn seamlessly. But as far as that goes, just know that if something goes wrong with this, it's not easy to get inside and diagnose the problem. Getting inside the controller is the hard part. But what's really annoying to me is just knowing that my other controller that currently is not responding, very likely it's just because the battery has lost connection with that wire, and it's such an easy fix, but I can't get inside of it to perform that easy fix. But that being said, this is a very solid Pro controller. All three controllers that we're going to be looking at today are on sale quite often, so you might find a good deal on this. I highly recommend this, especially if you're a PC gamer that owns a Nintendo Switch 2, because it's as easy as flipping this little switch back here if you want to play on your PC instead of your Nintendo Switch 2. The Nixie Master P1, I really highly recommend this for your Nintendo Switch 2. The next controller on the list is going to be a GameCube fan's delight. And of course, we're talking about the Nixie Warrior, complete with that beautiful GameCube purple. This is a go-to for most people that want to play GameCube style games instead of, buying the Wavebird, which admittedly is not compatible with your Nintendo Switch 2 unless you get some sort of extra dongle that will allow it to be compatible. This one right out of the box is 100% compatible with your Nintendo Switch and your Nintendo Switch 2. It's a bit heftier than the Wavebird or Nintendo GameCube controller in general, and I really do like this controller. This is actually compatible with your GameCube, and it comes with a respected GameCube dongle as well as being able to connect via Bluetooth, and that's exactly how we're going to connect with the Switch 2. So just like the other controller, we're just going to press that button right there and it will slowly connect to our Switch 2. There it goes. And I'll press A, and we will start Mario Tennis once again with this controller. We've got some really interesting micro switchy buttons on this particular controller. We do have the Hall Effect joysticks, the micro switch buttons, which is a really nice touch, adjustable triggers, and this is about 10 hours worth of battery life. We've got some HD rumble and back paddles if you so desire. I don't have them in right now. See this little slot right there? You can take that out and put in some back paddles if you want them, which is a really nice touch. And here's your switches right here, so you can see my triggers going all the way down, but if I flip that little switch, it's more of like a half press than an actual full analog trigger. So this is a really nice alternative because it's different, right? You've got the GameCube layout with your face buttons, which is not a normal thing for the Pro controller these days, but you've got the small B button, big A button, and your X and Y beans there, as well as your bumpers on top. And for your Switch, you've got your plus and minus buttons right there as well, complete with the C stick and this D-pad, which admittedly is not my favorite design for a D-pad. It's just a gigantic disc that's just kind of floating there. But for menu stuff, it's more than adequate. It works just fine. But I'm not so sure about 2D games in particular. I've never really used this controller for that. Obviously, I would use the previous controller if we're really going to jump into some 2D games. But as far as GameCube-style games that you might want to play, and I imagine for the GameCube Online stuff, this would be a really nice companion for that Nintendo Switch GameCube Online stuff. Now, one thing I will say and point out is that the C-Stick is very much like the GameCube C-Stick. Now, this is designed to be used with your PC and your Nintendo GameCube, your legitimate Nintendo GameCube console, so they kind of mimic that C-Stick. It's a very big difference between this stick and the C-Stick right there, and you will definitely notice it. So for first-person shooters or anything that requires you to move a camera around, you might be bothered by that. I know I am a little bit, and as a result, this is not my go-to controller for some modern type games, especially first-person shooters, just because it feels a little weird underneath the thumb to have that C-Stick, but that might not bother you. Most of the games that you're going to be playing on the Nintendo Switch 2 likely won't have that function where you need to move the camera in a first-person style game anyway. You will move this stick to do camera stuff like in Donkey Kong Bonanza. You won't ever really use this in Mario Tennis Fever or Mario Kart World anyway. So it's just something to think about, but For the most part, I've had absolutely zero issues with this controller. It pairs so seamlessly. All these controllers just do a wonderful job at pairing, especially with the Nintendo Switch 2. Now, if they don't pair, make sure that you get your dock and your USB cable and just plug that sucker in right there and you'll have no issues. It'll recognize it and it pairs every single time, which is great. So I'm just going to jump into some Mario Tennis here. We'll put it on intermediate, no big deal. Mario versus Luigi. And we can kind of see this controller functioning in real time. And you can kind of maybe hear, I don't know, the microphone's a little bit far away, but we've got some really interesting mouse click style buttons there. Some micro switchy buttons. I'm doing a pretty good job with this controller on Mario Tennis. This is a really good second player controller as well as your first player controller too. That's another thing, is if you wanted to buy 4 Pro controllers, that would set you back quite a bit of money. And these are a little cheaper than some of those Pro controllers that you're going to find officially from Nintendo. And the main thing in this video is that they all work just great. Like, I've had zero issues with these controllers. Aside from the last one that we're going to look at, there's a little issue that I had, and we're going to take a look at that, but don't worry, it's incredibly easy to fix it. Here's your Nixie Warrior controller. It's really, really cool, man. I really do like this controller. I've got bigger hands, too, and I feel right at home with this. It feels so nice in my hands to have this controller for games like this, specifically Mario Tennis. And if this is your color scheme and you're a big fan of the GameCube, this is a no-brainer. This is such a wonderful alternative Pro controller for your Nintendo Switch 2. So now we're moving on to the final controller that's going to be featured in this video for your Pro controller on your Nintendo Switch 2. Last but not least, we have the Nixie Flexi. This is one hell of an interesting controller, my friends. And it's got the Xbox layout. It's got some big grips there on the sides for your bigger hands, and we've also got these little holes right here which might trigger some people, but I would encourage you to hang on before you skip this video. We've got 2 sets of programmable back buttons on here, which is nice. Your typical triggers and your bumpers, which is big and hefty. This is like a huge controller, man. I've got some huge hands. It fits really nice for me. I imagine with smaller hands it wouldn't be that too crazy for you. One thing worth noting is that the sticks kind of protrude out just a little bit more than normal. More than normal than you would see on maybe the Master P1, the first one that we saw. You can see that those sticks come out just a little bit further than a controller like this, which may or may not be a deal breaker for you. I do notice it for sure. I do feel a little bit further away than I'm used to, but you know, it really doesn't bother me that much. But that being said, I've got bigger hands. On this controller, we've got the D-pad, which is actually a pretty solid D-pad, and we've got the A, B, X, and Y buttons as well. And here's your home button, so we're going to go ahead and press that, and voila, we got some really interesting lights. And there's the rumble letting us know that we are connected. You can see that was really seamless back there. We're going to jump right back into Mario Tennis again, and right where we left off, so I can continue to play. And that's so amazing how seamless that these things connect. And I don't know if it's just me. I was having some really bad luck connecting controllers, or at least third-party ones, on the original Switch, but I think that's probably a big improvement on the Switch 2. Now, notice that we've got these pretty green lights right here. That's just an added plus. But with the Nixie Flexi, that's what this is called, this is designed for multi-platform use, meaning your Switch or your PC. You've got 4 back buttons, like I mentioned before, a 1000 hertz polling rate, and an 8-hour battery, plus these RGB lights. So on the back, you got a reset button way back over here, and here's your light button that I will go ahead and press, and we can take a look at some of these pretty lights that come with this controller, which is really nice. You know, these are kind of just like a just because situation, you know, with controllers like this. It's just a preference thing. And honestly, I mean, you're not going to be looking at it as you're playing the game, but it is kind of a cool feature. And you can always turn this stuff off to save your battery life if you want to. But I think it's a really nice touch, really unique design too, having those holes in the controller there. See if I can't find the green. I like the green. There we go. Beautiful green color. That's my favorite. I do like that quite a bit. Now, we haven't seen the coolest part of this controller yet. Yes, we've got the sticks and we've got your typical buttons there, and you've got the micro switchy buttons that are clicky like they were in the previous controller, which is nice. But here's the really crazy cool thing about this controller that you guys are just going to love. It's going to blow your freaking mind. Are you ready? I'm going to do this in real time. This metal plate right here is magnetic, and it comes right off. And now we've got a naked Flexi right here. But the whole point of this Flexi right here is that we can take this part out and switch it around, stick it right back in there, just like so. And we're going to take our faceplate, slap it right back on, and all of a sudden, we have a PlayStation-style controller, if we want it. And the D-pad's up here, and that's really cool. And you can see I'm jumping right back into the game. I'm playing the game just fine. That is such a really unique thing in a controller that I don't think I've ever seen in any other controller before. You might have a buddy that is just really into the PlayStation design, but you might be an Xbox person yourself. Having that option, that preference, is such a really nice addition for a controller like this. I did mention before that I had a specific issue with this particular controller that has since been fixed with a controller update from Nixie. Now, what happened was I was playing a very specific game, Splatoon 3, and that's an online game, and I had no issues with it other than when I was in the menus of that game, you know, selecting your different weapons and stuff. I did come across an issue where there was a little bit of lag, more lag than there usually is in controllers like this. And as far as any other gameplay or any other game scrolling through the menus, I didn't have any issues whatsoever. But with this specific controller, I did notice those issues, and it was enough to annoy me. But I did notice that lag in the menus, which is really strange that you don't notice it, and it just doesn't exist as you're playing the gameplay and everything. But in the menus, when nothing's going on, there was a lot of lag. So it bothered me enough to see if I could fix it. And sure enough, Nixie has a firmware update for this specific controller, as well as all of the controllers that I've shown you thus far in this video. All I did was the firmware update, and I've had no issues in the menus whatsoever after that. It's really strange that that's such an issue. Maybe it's just a Switch 2 thing. I don't know. But I really do enjoy this controller. This is probably the one that I pick up the most when it comes to playing the Nintendo Switch on my couch. And I don't know about you guys, but I really do prefer the Xbox style. So I'm just going to take that, slap it right back in there, press it down, make sure it's a snug fit, take my magnetic plate, and now I'm playing via Xbox mode instead of PlayStation mode. So this is a really, really nice controller, guys. I really do enjoy this one, and I use it on my PC. But recently, this has become my Nintendo Switch 2 Pro controller. Those are 3 alternatives for the Nintendo Switch 2 Pro controller. You know, I've never had my hands on the Nintendo Switch 2 Pro controller, to be honest with you, just because I don't want to spend that amount of money for a controller that I know is going to have stick drift issues in the future. I like me some Mario Tennis. That's a very intense game, and I can see myself really doing a number on those sticks over time. But with these 3 controllers, they're all Hall effect, and you'll never have to worry about stick drift, which is such a really nice thing, especially after knowing that you spent so much money on this Nintendo Switch 2 console, as well as the games, man. That Mario Tennis game is amazing, but it cost me a pretty penny. Donkey Kong Bonanza and Mario Kart World did the same thing, and this Tamagotchi Life is coming out very soon as of the making of this video, and my girlfriend and I are definitely going to jump into that, because how could we not? But I would love to know what you guys think about each and every one of these 3 alternatives for a Pro controller on your Nintendo Switch 2. I've done a separate review video on all 3 of them in the past, and I'll put that in the description of this video if you want to check those out. You can also find a link to purchase each and every one of these in the description below. And like I said before, all 3 of these controllers have gone on sale at some point, and Nixie has sales on these controllers all the time. So I'd highly encourage you to at least take a look, because you might find a really good deal on these controllers right here. If you have any other suggestions for a Nintendo Switch Pro controller that's not the actual Pro controller from Nintendo, let me know in the comments section below. I really appreciate you guys liking this video and subscribing, and I'll catch you guys at the next one. Thanks very much. Bye-bye.